Hello, if anybody's out there already. Hi, Tom. Hi, Jeremy. Good to. Whoops, sorry, I'm bumping around here. Great to see you here already. I've been trying to get a document somewhere. I didn't have it ready to send out in the emails today, and I guess we're going to work without it. So let's see if I can get my chat here popped out. I always call you Katia, and I think I asked you once if that was right, and I know that Tammy calls you Katia. So I'm just wondering which one is the correct way to pronounce your name. With an E sound, Katia, or just Katia? Hi, Janella. Was able to get my down shot now, which is good because I was just going to put a document up for the polar grid on my Google Docs, and it said I can't upload a PDF. So it's like I don't have one for you guys today, although some of you may have a grid from before. I've been really trying to redo it, so both are okay? Okay. Now I lost my train of thought. Oh, I was talking about the grid. I was trying to get it set up so it's like the concentric circle lines are like at a certain distance. And so I've been playing around with pixel amounts, and it was kind of late last night, and I'm going to use one of mine that has them the way they came out. And I didn't have any ink until late last night. My son dropped some new ink off to me so I can see how it's printing out. Hi, Sue. Glad to see you here. I was just saying, I'm just working on some new diagrams. Okay, thanks, Katie. Yeah? I'm going to tuck this hair behind my head. I can't get the right hand coming up. I want to talk about the diagramming choices today that you have and show you the little bit of progress I've made. I haven't tatted the doily yet, the round robin. Are there any of you who are not going to do that and want to do a different project? Or even if you're doing that for Tammy's class, if you want to work on something new for this class for a design. So what are your thoughts on that? Hi, Carol. Welcome. Just talking about choices. Hi, Bev. We're talking about choices for if you're going to be working on the project, the round robin project with Tammy, or if you, in this class, you don't do doilies, okay? Then you can select anything else you want to. I'm kind of thinking ahead till spring. Do you have anything in mind that you're thinking about? It is interesting, yes. And I am going to use that in every class for part of the class, just because I can show you next steps in design, and we can look at, it's called a snowflake. Yes, Caddy, I can't believe you're doing it in size 80 thread. And we'll talk about your diagram of it tonight, which I'm sure is not the size that its actual size it's going to be. That'd even be hard to read. Yeah, so I don't do doilies either. I'm not. Actually, I don't do a whole lot of tatting. I do more teaching, and I play around with a lot of designs. I don't finish a lot. I'm really a teacher at heart. And for those of you who don't know my background, I did learn to tat in my early 20s. I had inherited my grandmother's, on my dad's side, shuttles. And I inherited them as a teenager, and I used to watch my grandmother tat when I was young, but we only saw them once a year. And she never taught me. And if she'd tried, it probably wouldn't have worked because she tatted so fast. I don't think she could have slowed down. So I have been tatting for years. And when I first started teaching in some craft shops, I needed some patterns that the beginners could do. So I started just designing my own really, really simple one-round snowflakes. Just little ring and chain things that you see all over the place now. Hi, Pasha. And so I tatted off and on through the years, but I am a very eclectically educated person. I went to college, started out as a chemistry major, left after finishing a physical education minor, and never got my degree. And when I was in my 40s, I started going back to school. Well, actually earlier than that, and I took a semester of art classes. So that's where my design background started. And then we moved to Colorado, and I found out by then that my credits were too old to finish out a bachelor's degree. I'd have to start over. And I said, no way. And I happened to run into, I was taking a desktop publishing class in order to redo the little booklet I had out, which is still in the process. And it's grown a lot. Maybe this will be the year I finish it. But when I was in that class, there was a drawing class using CorelDRAW across the hall. And it happened that their printer wasn't working, and so one of the students had printed out something in our classroom, our desktop publishing classroom. We were using PageMaker at the time. And so I went over there after class, and the instructor was still there, and come to find out, she was, had just finished designing a multimedia technology course for Front Range Community College. And it would be a one-year certificate program. And I knew that's what I wanted to do, so I signed up for it and started it. Now, it took me 4 years, 3 years I took one class a semester, and then by the 4th year I luckily was able to stop working full-time and finish out the last 4 classes all at the same time. And this included design. I took basic art classes again. We learned all the Adobe programs, Photoshop, Illustrator, and all that. And I learned all my design principles and background through that course. So that's how I learned. Hi, Marge. It looks like it is 12:05. Let's get going. The first thing I'm going to show you is that I did this week. I finally got around to making my own ring samples for sizing, plus a short chain. So I'm going to go to the down shot now and show you that. And here it is. I've done them out of size 20. I haven't labeled them yet. But I started out with up here with just a four double stitch ring. You can see at the base. There's a little bit. It didn't close totally, which is what happens when you use so few stitches in a ring, and it's so difficult to close that I probably would not ever use them unless I had to. Hi Terry, welcome. And what I've done is just gone up one stitch. I thought about going by twos, but I decided what the heck. So I've got 4 double stitches, 5. Whoops, 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way up to 10. And I don't want my pieces because I tend to take them off my board when I'm doing a drawing and put them on to see how many stitches I'm designed to it. I have some echoes going on. Do I have my? Let me check a minute and see. Okay, tell me if that's any better. Does it seem any better? I hope it does. I didn't turn it. Okay, I turned it down. I'm going to cancel it. Total mute. It's muted. It's so muted. I'm hoping now it's okay. And then let me know if it still is. Because I have muted my. It's not better. Let's see if I can go in my settings. Let me go into my system and see if I can get that off. No, I don't need battery. Sound. Manage sound devices. Oh, you know what? I know why today. Let me see if I can get this turned off. Okay, now can you still hear me? Yeah, I think maybe with my downshot camera, my sound is trying to come through there also. So I turned that off when I went down with the camera. Okay, I just turned the download or the microphone on my camera off. Yes, it helped. It's okay now? Great. I hadn't realized that. Yeah, thanks. Oh, there's always something with this technology. I didn't even think about it. When I used to teach, I guess I was always using the mic from the camera, but now that I'm in this different location, my computer has started using its own sound. And so that was there too. Super. Hi, Teresa. Welcome. Okay, so this is the start. I'm going to do more. The reason I did it, and I will be labeling underneath here the number of stitches in each. So when it's on here, and I think on here, you can even see there's my tape end. You can see the double-sided tape on this shot. But I want to be able to pick it up and put it down. So as you can see, it'll just come off. And I wanted it tacked, and I might not even put it back on the card because it's going to be easy for me to tell. With this short of an amount, I can tell. I know this is 10, and I can either count down or up or whatever. but I especially needed to tape it down in order to get a photocopy of it. And I wanted everything straight because this is what I'm going to use to make my diagramming template rings. So I want them all to be upright when I pull this into Inkscape in order to copy it. I'm surprised I do videos, Sue. Oh, my background, after I taught for about 4.5 years then at the school. I had been the web designer for, or web assistant for Front Range Community College for 2 years. And then I went and worked in the Ames campus in Loveland, which is also local community college here. And when I worked there, I oh, I lost my shoe. Here it goes. My brain again is not. What did I start out saying? Anyway, this is what it'll come back to me sometimes. So, oh, I know about doing videos. I just read your last comment, Sue. It was about doing videos. I learned all about how to go into an instructor's room, another part of my job besides the learning center, and helping people. It was a computer learning center, so I helped everybody with their work, what they were doing in their computer programs, whatever program they were working in. And so I know how to go into a classroom and get it all set up for the instructor, the video camera and everything working and all the stuff, everything plugged in, all the equipment. But I never made videos like this myself. So my background doesn't cover a lot of things. I'm going to add more and go up even higher as I go. And like I said, I probably will, when I'm designing, stick these in a baggie and be able to pull them out and hold them up to whatever I'm drawing or sketching or whatever. So that's so far what I've got done. My next thing is to start that round robin beginning. And this is a polar grid that I'm going to show you using today for those of you who haven't used one before. And tonight, it's you, Caddy, isn't it, who sent me that wonderful, maybe I can pull it up here for everybody to see for a minute. Well, I'll do that in a minute because I want to keep my down shot. And I've actually been playing around with this round robin. And as you can see, I got a lot of notes and messes scribbled already about starting this next round. But we will be looking at the wonderful diagram of this, but all the rounds completed up to this point that Caddy had diagrammed. Yeah. Yes, your Inkscape homework. I was quite sure that was you. I looked at it this morning, but I thought I don't want to say the wrong person. And Caddy has agreed to let us, that we can look at it today. So I want to talk about designing this and designing the next round. This is really messy right here. But one of the things I've been thinking of is when I design, I don't usually, obviously don't start with this, but I do often start with a diagram of my own. And one of the things I have finding like with this from somebody else's, and it does happen with your own designs too. To me, there's more than one way to do anything. In Tammy's class, I know Harala mentioned that tying at the end of each round so that when you start your next round and you find a problem with it working, you can take it out back to the point. I still need to wrap my brain around that because I guess so that you can take it off, but I guess if you started the next round, I would just cut it off back here and only have a little unravel if I wanted to start over. Um, but I know she has a reason for that, and it works great for her. And try that. If that works for you, that's wonderful. The other thing I think is because she designs just with her shuttle and thread and designs it off her head as it goes, what she wants to do. And I think then you do have more problem with knowing how you're going to join one round to the other. She gets the look she wants, and that's a wonderful way to design. Designing is personal preference. There's so many different ways. I know I've mentioned before that I know Jane Eberall. She does it like that, except she always looks at a like if she usually, I won't say always, I don't know with some of her mermaids and things, um, if she just comes up with those off the top of her head. Now, a lot of people can do that, and it's great. Um, but I also know that, like, if she's drawing a dog or an animal or something like that in real life, she will go and look at photos. And then she looks at the photos and tats as she's looking at using the photo for a reference. Um, and that's great too. I admire everybody, uh, different ways of designing. For me, I've always start with a sketch. One thing is nice because you can then plan how you're coming out of a round ahead of time. It fell off the shuttle. You would call Patty, that was Sue Hansen. um, Patty, I would cut at the beginning. That way I'm able to keep what was done as a swatch for another design. Yes, and that's a great idea too for doing that. Thank you for that. That's another idea. Hi, Sharon. Glad you're able to make it. Sharon, this is the regular design class. Tonight's class is the diagramming with Inkscape. So the two classes on Thursdays, the design classes are different. They're not the same class. So today we're not diagramming, we're talking about planning a path through your design. And for an example, I'm using the round robin. Mary Cohn used to have her rings tatted and pin them to her chair arm and then work out. That is wonderful. I have to do that. You know, I do pin a lot of things to my, if I work a sample and cut it off, I keep some pearl headed pins, the big ones, and I particularly got an armchair that has a really wide arm on it. It's at least like 8 inches wide, the arm is, and flat. And I pin things, even some of my tools, I'll pin uh, to my chair arm. I didn't even think, I guess, and I have pin tatted pieces to the arm. Um, and that's definitely what I'll do now with my green ring samples that I just showed. Like I said, these aren't labeled yet, but will be. Oh, you're welcome, Sharon. All right, so if you this if you start with ring run, obviously, if you've tatted this already, you're going to be tatting around and you tap this last ring, which is ring number 6. When we're making patterns, we can put, a lot of people like to have the rings numbered where you start, or a lot more common is to use the alphabet, like this would be A, this is where you start, B, C, D, E. I wrote SR in here because this is a split ring. Now, whether you put that on a pattern or not, you can. She keeps all her script. Oh, yes. You know, that's something that I usually mention at the, oh, thank you, Sue, at the beginning of class is don't ever throw away anything. I call them tat bits, but well, I used to sometimes, but someone else uses that, a designer. I can't think of who it is. Um, But actually, I've always called things like that pieces parts. Those are my tatting pieces parts of my little savings there. And I save them all because you never know if a little piece didn't work in the design you're working on, it could work for something else. And not only keeping them, but get them on your card if you're using a card file or wherever you're keeping your organization's system for your pieces, and make sure you label what you did on that. On the back of the card, then you might want to make the note of why it didn't work for another project so you remember. Terry Dusenberry, yes, that's it. Um, so all of that, keep documentation because I tell you, even if you're young, you won't remember. Oh, I see. You missed the N. I pronounced it with the N in it, even though you hadn't typed it that way. Um, so what I am finding is if you come out like this, like they're having you come out and do your next set here, and you go all the way around, you're going to end right here too, which is at this join, which means you then have to make choices. Are you going to come out? I mean, the first overall choice is, do you want to, let's see, I'm going to use this up here. Well, maybe it's better here. This is what I was going to start drawing on my grid below here, and I didn't get it drawn out. If you're going to chain from this point up, you could pick any of these rings and do a ring facing inward to join. That's hard to, let me see if my red pen here, this is my 4-color pen. I didn't have it with me the other day. And this is what I've used for years. And I believe last time I looked, they were still available at Walmart. If not, these are, oh, they're a Bic 4-color pen. I also have it in pastels. They come in 2 color combinations. This is blue, dark green, black, and red. So let's see if I can draw. If you're doing an inward ring like this, that's going to hook to this, you're going to basically keep your chain going straight around. Or if you're going to go up, you could do lock joins, like pick this one, pick this center one up here, or this one. You could do lock joins. Anybody know what lock joins are gonna? Oh, a split chain. Yes, you could use a split chain. You would start here, thank you, Sue, go up to this point, if this is where you want to come out next time, which a lot of people like to come out in the center of something, and then you would have to attach your thread over here and do the split chain technique back to here. Then you could come out here with either rings or chains, maybe that clover that she talked about as a choice, Tammy did, of one of the elements, tatting elements to use. So I'd have my, I wonder if this shows up better. Can you tell that's purple and not black? This is actually my purple reblast. It's a roller ball. Oh, I don't know who. Oh, it's an R2 blast. I know where this came from, the dollar store. I believe it was the Dollar. Was it the Dollar Tree? Either Dollar Tree or Dollar General. So, and this pen I like really well. I don't know whether it's permanent or it smears. It doesn't smear by rubbing it. It might with water on it. So here's where you make another choice. But yeah, this could be a split chain. Go up this way, and come out here. But if I'm doing, if I'm not going to make a ring facing background or something, a long picot or something that would keep it round all the way around and smooth, if you add, was it an SCMR? Not this one here, if you're doing the continuous thread path. Um, you would have to have a split ring to come out right here and start this chain. This one has to be. Maybe the first one could be a mock ring, but to come out from one round to another, as far as I know, a split ring to get this ring here is what you would need. Now, if you used if you were used a uh, unless you use a split chain, yeah, the split chain for out here. Can't you just bridge to the next round with a self-closing mock ring ends at the bottom. You close it at the bottom, so you don't have a way to get up to for this particular pattern to start up this next round up here. Does that make sense, Jeremy? Um, but I ask about a lock join. What's going to happen? And I can demonstrate it here. If this was round, I'd probably attach here and, we'd be attaching here and you could just do a chain. Now, what makes the difference between whether this is a round shape when you're done or if this is a scalloped from here to there? Anybody know what the difference is depending upon what you want? Yeah, well, not a lock chain. Hi, Marge. If you're answering that question, a locked join. If you do a locked join, that always leaves that little dip because of the way it's made. And that's how you would end up with chain scallops. And then, of course, you could add rings wherever. Um, but what if you wanted your chains to be round and not scalloped? And you were still joining them at the top of each of these. What kind of a join would you use? Um, the dip, the number of stitches would control the arch, and you could flatten the arc out by the amount of stitches, making fewer stitches. But right here, if you're using a shuttle lock join, you're going to have a dip. You'd have a lot less of a dip the fewer stitches you use in your chain. What about a Catherine wheel join? That's one of the main purposes. Yes, yes, you got it, Sue. Catherine wheel join. Exactly. Um, and I know you typed that even before I said it. Yep. Um, because Catherine wheel join, that's what it's made for. It keeps your joins, um, it doesn't break the line of stitches. When you have a lock join, you're using the shuttle thread to do that join and come back up. Remember that it's a locked join because it is made with the shuttle thread, and the shuttle thread can no longer slide. A second shuttle, if you used a lock join, a shuttle join here, you'd still get the dip. There might be other ways to not get it, but for the time being, I can only think of a Catherine wheel join. Because when you make a Catherine wheel join, it looks just like it keeps the look of the double stitches. And if I'm not mistaken, that thread can still slide in there, but it doesn't, it does give you a continuous round shape because you haven't broken the line. Yep, that was exactly it. It doesn't break the line of progression of the course. So that's one of the things to think about when you're designing anything or when you're doing your next round on here. On this one, the other thing to think about, and I think I mentioned it last week, is if you wanted to make it more of an octagon shape, then this round, I guess that's kind of far away for it, then you'd want to do something like a clover that would give you, this kind of angle. And there's other ways to make that. And one of the things that back when we were taking, when I was doing years ago, when I was doing the classes, and Nanetta was in the class and Muscan, whatever we talked about, if we talked about corners, they would go and spend the whole next week seeing what they could do, how they could make corners. Your tension has a lot to do with it too. You can do a two shuttle coin, pull through a loop with one. Oh, I've done that before. Oh my gosh, Sue, yes. Does that have a name? MM. So this is when you're thinking your next step. I'm going to get this. Oh, my pen leaked through. My purple pen leaked through. I think I have another one below here. They probably all leaked through. This has got fewer. And designing this way, you know exactly what kind and where your joins are going to be to begin with. If you've got a sketch, no matter, that's a slope and roll, okay? Oh, slope and roll, I see that. Thanks, Teresa. I have a granddaughter whose name, it's spelled Teresa, Teresa. And so sometimes I might call you that, Teresa, because her name's Teresa. Get my thoughts back here. I would like to know how people feel about diagramming. I don't think I have it under this pile. I was printing them out to see how dark and thin the lines were. Um, and I think I'm going to do some both with um, some of the concentric circles. This one is just about 2.5 inches, I believe, in diameter. And I think this one is close to exactly 5 inches. So if you were working a doily or a medallion or a motif, and I want to talk about motifs and medallions, I want to mention them. Motifs are small pieces, and motifs can usually be put together, um, like side by side or however, to make a tablecloth or something larger, placemat, whatever you want. Whereas a medallion is a motif, actually, but it's a particular motif that is symmetrical as it's going out. Originally, medallions were round, and they've often been done in a square with four quadrants, but they're round and usually have four quadrants, and everything is the same. Now, on a doily, you do often have the quadrants. Sometimes you can see one that's done like that. But that's the difference. You did it before, you knew its name, maybe from Rebecca Jones. I don't think the slope and rolls in Rebecca Jones, but maybe in Rebecca Jones' book. That's the one thing I haven't mentioned. This semester is my favorite books and for designing. And I'm going to take just a second. Give me 1 minute here. Okay, I'm back. I have had, this is one of my first ever books I ever got. Of course, is the Algiva Nichols, Techniques in History. And this is not exactly the same as her um, green book. But one of the things she has is when she starts out talking, she talks about shapes. See how this is a wonderful resource. And then, of course, she has all these sample pages. She talks about, she shows putting motifs together, but she goes from shapes and then this whole book, and then descriptions is wonderful. It's one of the first books I ever owned back in the 70s. In fact, I think this was copyrighted 1962. It's not her first book, which I do happen to be fortunate enough to have a copy of. And as you can see, it's gotten really ratty, but if you ever have a chance to get this one, it's out of print. And she's got a lot of things in here. Just, I know I've shown it before. Um, and this happened to come from the Grand Rapids Public Library. Um, Almost every one of these dates that they're checked out is mine, except for two of them. They go from 84 to 91. And so they told me I could write a note in the back and ask them if they ever discard it to send it to me. And they told me that was what I should do. But I did end up bringing it to Colorado and losing it, and then never paid the library for it later. Um, the complete book of Tatting, I think that was the second one I ever owned by Rebecca Jones. And then the other one is Rhoda Alt, Contemporary Art of Knotting with a Shuttle. And this is where, look at all of her different kinds of chains. We're going to be talking about chains today, too, hopefully, if we have time. But there are so many different kinds of chains you can use, and she did a lot of experimenting. I also have a book called To Boldly Go, where no shuttle has gone before. And then, if you ever have a chance, get any of Judy Banachek's books. This is her advanced tatting patterns. And they're out of print, and they're just, I mean, she's just got so much information in here. She's got diagrams, and she shows, she talks about everything in here, and just has all these wonderful and techniques too. So, boy, if you ever see that on eBay or anything, grab it, or in a used bookstore. The other one I use a lot is Judith Connor's Illustrated Dictionary of Tatting. And that too describes techniques and has diagrams. So for a designer's library, any of these books, and I know there are others too, are great. Any questions so far? You have to pull the go. Yes. Oh, that's wonderful, Sue, that you've got even her first book. You need to revisit some older books. Yes, the one thing about designing is you have to know what's available to use. You have to know techniques. Even if you don't know how to do it or need to refresh yourself on how to do it, if you at least know that it exists. Oh, she describes it but didn't name it. It could have been, yeah, it could have been Algiva Nichols too. I have her green book too. So, are there any more questions about this? Oh my word, it's 1:45 already. So this, is about plan your path. It makes it so much easier, and then you know how many what fits around here. You, but if you don't, if you just start padding, what the thing to think about is that, like on this round robin, they're just showing one wedge of this, and we know it's got six. And I know why I couldn't show the diagram before. You need to put a X's around each one of these to get your hexagon shape. I couldn't draw it right last time. Um, but that's what to think about is this has got 12 spokes. Um, and for this, we're only using 6, so that first ring would be in here. But the size of that ring, it's like so far distance from the center point in order for them to sit side by side. If they're all right down here, they would have to be very small like this to sit side by side. So if you're designing, think about the fact that you're designing for this whole wedge, and then that wedge will be repeated 6 times. The reason for having an extra line in the middle is if you want to put, say, you want 5 or 7 or an odd number, one of them has to be right here on this center line between here and here. And then you can fit the other ones in here. That's how you can come out balanced on your stitches. It's nice to start with an odd number in the middle. Otherwise, if it's even, you would want to maybe put halfway marks as where you'd want to have even ones like 2, 3, 4. You wouldn't have one on the center line usually, but a center line is necessary a lot of times if these are simply picots. You'd want to make sure this could be right on the line and come out there. Not that you couldn't. I mean, if you start coming out off center, you'll probably get a bit messed up. So really, as long as you know that whatever you're designing fits in this wedge, it'll and it. This is the meeting point between your wedges. So you'd want to be like designing from here to there. And then you would know whatever fit from there could be repeated all the way around. And if another thing that's hard, if you haven't diagrammed all the way around, drawn it all the way around, you don't get a good idea of what as a whole it looks like. What do the shapes look like as a whole? What do the negative spaces look like as a whole? Your personal preference, but fancy pants are way down on your list of go-tos. Yeah, mine too. Um, Back to us, Sue. Um, which Sue? And what am I talking about? Or what is she talking about? Can you not hear me? Oh, Rhoda with a D, not an N. Rhoda. Oops, I'm trying to write out you all hearing me. Okay. Now I want to talk a little bit about chains because when you start this, obviously you're going to have a lot of chains in here, especially following if you're doing your adventure round robin. Oh, wait, two things. I wasn't sure. So unless there's any more questions about this or comments or anything, there's some lag. Do you know, um, when I, let me, I'm going to go to my screenshot. Nope, my face shot. When I opened up and synced my YouTube and my streaming today, YouTube gave me a message that I've never gotten before in all the videos I've done about maybe being some lag time because of um, I thought the rate per second of I forgot the name of them, not the scenes, but the frames, the number of frames. And it was set at 8 frames per minute and needed to be 4 or something. So, but I don't know how or where to change that. And I was hoping it wouldn't make a big difference to me. Is the sound, now that you're looking at me, is the sound off from what my lips are saying? Does it look like the sound is not matching? I'm wondering if there's a whole lag in the video itself from what I'm seeing to what you're seeing. Good on your end? Okay. So I don't know. I'm going to have to probably talk to Dennis to find out um, what that means because it's never ever asked me before or told me something was wrong. Lips, sound, and match. Great. At least that's good. So, all right. The other thing I wanted to talk about was to take a look at. Um, I sent you the link for Moose Can's chain. I'm going to switch to my screen. That's my husband, and they've been chopping logs. Let's see. I know I have it in here. I guess I've got too much in here. Well, I know I sent you the link. Um, we'll look at that next week and talk about the different kinds of chains. I think that, let me see if I can, whoops, pull it up this way. Oh, I know, I put it in Facebook, didn't I? I think it's right here. I'm going to have to look for it. This is tipsaroundthehome.blogspot.com. I sent you the link. And her tutorials are, she has a chain chart. See if I can find it. Here, I know where I wrote it down. Hold on just a second. Not that one. You're probably all the way to it already. There we go, right there. Lining up chains. I'm not used to Pinterest opening things when I want to look at them closer. But this is what you're supposed to be making for your sample books. And that this is what Tammy talked about. It is downloadable here. When we were talking about the line element in the design class years ago, Moosecan went and made this whole chart up and provided it for us. And she's got all the different kinds of chains you can make. And this is actually a chain of half rings, I believe. Now, technically, whether you call it a chain, I don't know. But this is a wonderful resource. And when you're trying to do something original, think about it. Think about these. The other, one of my favorites, and I think I forgot to look that up. I'm going to go under VicTats, see if I can come up with her heart. Yep, this is one of my favorite pieces that has a ruffled chain. Or if you could put a Josephine chain. I think this one is just ruffled. Now, I kind of forget about that and just use my, I think this one isn't a Josephine chain. It doesn't spiral all around. It's got Victorian sets that make it look like a ruffle, which is you do so many first half stitches and so many second half stitches. And then again, maybe 4 first half, 4 second half, or the opposite way. I try to think, I think second half brings you forward and first half stitches makes it back. Don't quote me on that. And this just makes a really unique design to common shaped elements. Think also about double chains around something, just like onion rings will emphasize a shape and bring you and create almost this in here. I think it almost really creates a focal point, and then you kind of radiate out unless you're caught by you your eye picks up these open negative spaces and ruffled chain first. So you can kind of direct your uh, viewer's eye, your tatter's eye, to an interesting pattern. The interesting thing too is how we see the V point here. We kind of see it as a triangle, but even though it's the whole outside isn't an outlined heart, we see the whole shape as a heart. That's called visual perception. Our brain will visually pull up the fact that that's a triangular point and that's a heart shape overall. It's called inferred lines. They're inferred lines. They are, it's not outlined with a chain or a drawn line if it was a drawing, but we see the line. Our brain fills that in. And I know I want to find out from Jenny Clark. She has a heart that I want to show you. And it's kind of like this. Oh, this one right here. I don't even know whose heart that is. Let's see if we click on it. It's saved to Pinterest. Get it back out here again. Oh, it is. It's Vicky's VicTats again. She's used, this is another inferred heart, even though it's not an exact heart with the point, we still see the whole shape as a heart. Um, if this wasn't, if these two white ones weren't up here and it was just the others, we might not see a heart. We would still recognize it maybe as the bottom of a heart, but this would be straight across. And what one of the things, interesting thing about this chain is it looks, hold on. I need to, no, I don't want to exit there. I want to find my chat again. Let me get down and see where the end of the chat is. Born a librarian. Good evening, everyone. Huh, that's not my restore chat. This technology is pop out chat. Let me see if I can find the right chat. Victorian chain from the side rather than the top. Okay, I'm caught up, I guess, with the chat, and I'm still talking over here about this heart. Notice how, and I hope you're seeing this. I'm still seeing my screen. Yep. This heart, she's used the chain here. And if that chain kept going, it would still keep curving down here. What makes this overall look horizontal across here is because it's broken up with this little straight section right here. And I haven't read through this pattern or tried it to even know what she's doing right there for that. So, but this is the type of thing to put in your designs for originality when you think about shapes. You could do something like this on one of the rounds as you go out on your round robin. You could use something like this in so many places. So color-wise, this is interesting because she's got right here and right here, you can see those are split rings. They're done with the second color from the inside thread. So this is a really interesting in the way it's put together. I'm gonna have to go back and read what everybody's been. Oh, Teresa, ruffled chain could also be called rick-rack, node, or Victorian. Yes, the node stitch is because of from the front side, you only see from one side you see the Z across the top. When you're looking at that from the top down, you'll see the little nodes off to the side because on the back side, those are the points. And that's where the node stitch comes from. It's the same chain, but it's the way you're looking at it. And remember that a rick-rack chain is different than a Z chain. And we'll have to look at that next week. We'll look at the difference. It's called a zigzag stitch. Is the Z you see on the top of the Josephine chain or Victorian set chain or node chain? But if the whole chain is zigging down and up and down and up, that's a zigzag chain. So you've got the difference between a zigzag chain and a zigzag stitch. And it can get people confused. Hi, crafting memories. I'm sorry. Yeah, we're just at the end of class now. Um, so are there any questions now before we sign off here? Okay. A little bit of lag, yeah. I hope you're all excited. Now, like I said, if you're not doing the doily, I mean, you could still do it, but just use it for make a coaster or something else. If you want to do a totally different design, that's always fine in this design class. And we will be looking at what people have done and talking about it if you want to, whatever you're doing. I know you can post them in the Facebook group. Um, have to go take away arrived night. Oh, okay. Bye bye, Sue. Oh, hi, Deborah. You're welcome. Thank you. I'm glad you feel it's very good. You can go ahead and like it, even though likes for my channel don't add to the likes, towards helping the fund for the online tatting classes, since mine is a separate channel. And I probably will never have enough viewers to make a profit on any of this. So you're welcome, Pasha. Thank you, Terry. That makes me feel so good to know you're enjoying the classes and learning from it. If you think of things between classes, write them down so you can ask the question in the next class too. And I hope to see many of you tonight for the diagramming. Even if you don't want a diagram, you might be interested in just seeing how it's done. Yes, it does, Patty. Thank you. Yes, it does help me get recognized. And that way we'll bring in more and more tatters and more designers. We need more designers. So we have more patterns to choose from. Thank you, Pasha. Oh, I probably ought to put something else on the screen so until we end so it doesn't look so, I don't want screen. Use my down shot. I should take a look at this again and see what I wrote there. And I see if I talked about everything. Corner samples. I guess I did. I write notes everywhere. I didn't sketch my own in the grid. Yeah, and I would like opinions on whether you like concentric circles in a polar graph or not. I'm going to get both of them available for you to print out, everyone. Thanks, Patty. Bye, Deborah. Bye, everyone. I'll see you either tonight or next week. So have a good week or a good evening, a good afternoon. See you later. Bye bye.